Good morning, and happy to be here again. We've got a very great set of people here on stage. I'm sure we are going to listen to what could be gems that we can really take back with us. Family businesses are always one of those things that people look at with some amount of awe, some amount of inspiration, sometimes worry, sometimes about business continuity, sometimes with the ability to think, can I also make it that big? Sometimes with the thought that I can only trust these kinds of businesses. So it has all these emotions attached, right? This is attached, emotions that are attached for consumers, for business outsiders, as well as from people from inside. There is all kinds of things that happens. I'm sure it's not easy. At the same time, it can be a lot of fun. More than 70% of the GDP, I'm told, is contributed by family businesses in the country, which is very significant amount of GDP. It's not small. And if these families have to succeed, there is some amount of some secret sauce that could be working for these families. How do you really build trust? How do you create business continuity? Are all things that keeps coming into our brains. And where did this idea come from? Is a bigger thing that comes through. Because sometimes it's about that idea that's going to create that spark, and at what point did that happen for people. This set of people here are going to help me understand, decipher, and take this thing through. We've got not too much of time because we're supposed to shut this panel at 11:20 as per the original dialogue. If it's possible, we'll shut it at 11:20, although we are starting late. But then I'll need contribution from people here. While we will be definitely talking at the start, some of you may also have questions in your, and that gray cell, if you've got some thoughts in, you should be able to kind of keep it very clearly with you so that when there is a chance, you could ask those questions. And when there is a chance, be specific about whom are you asking that questions to. Because sometimes when it's a big group and you ask one question that everybody is supposed to answer, you might as well take over the stage. So you'll need to be very careful with those questions in mind. But my belief is that each one of you sitting here has got something to ask to the people here, and I hope that you are okay with a slightly more open set of questions also coming in. The brands that we have here is very interesting and very nice, right? How many of you know, because it's going from here, how many of you know Bala well? Okay, raise your hands, don't feel shy. Yeah. How many of you know Saravana Stores well? You know the answer now. What makes it successful, right? So sometimes the people behind the scene are not as well known as the brand. How many of you know Go Colors? Okay, keep your hand up. If you're not very proud of Grow Colors, keep your hand down. Okay. So how many of you know Gautam? Therefore, I think you would all know Gautam for sure. We've also got Mohan from IppoPay here. IppoPay, I'm myself going to understand more of Gautam. So Mohan, so therefore I hope that you would tell us more about what's happening there. I've not interacted so much with him. It's like that one gem that one has to really see and understand where he is. So thank you, Mohan, for all the support and being here with us. Suhail Sattar, how many of you know at all? I think, how many of you know his brand? Oh, Suhail, your brand also outlives you, Suhail, so thank you so much. So you're not worried. How many of you have gone nuts at Nuts and Spices? Almost everybody. Again, Sunil has been a big supporter for us. The last person with us is a gentleman called Rajesh Narang. I don't think you'll know his brand at all. How many of you know Rajesh? Okay, that's possibly because he lives in Bangalore and not in Chennai so much. But he deals with a product that nobody will know in this place. It's a brand called Apple. So is there anybody here who does not know Apple as a brand? Raise your hands, please. Yeah. So he's been one of those. I think Apple got married to him. It's the other way around. Rajesh? It's how many years since Apple and you've been together?
26 years.
26 years. Slightly more than my age. So nobody believes it. Even my wife doesn't believe me on that. Anyway, so thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I just wanted to get them to get warmed up to the brands that you all represent, to get to know what you do. Before I jump on to the brands that people really know, because I've got this intrigue around Mohan and what he does. So Mohan, I first put the question on to you. What do you do? What does your brand do? And how do you help us?
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I'm the first generation of entrepreneur. So I am here to learn, learn from here, teach my kids to become a family entrepreneur, family business. IppoPay, we are a digital payment infra. We specially support offline retail businesses. Even we are going to closely work with CRS also. Okay, so I'm here to talk about how the family business can adopt digital payments. Okay, maybe the first generation business people handle cash completely. So now it's time for the digital transformation, right? So we got the approval from NPCI. We are the first UPI provider in Tamil Nadu, and we are helping retail businesses to have their complete transaction, right? Though the way we build our platform, not only accept the payments via UPI, we have a neo-banking solution where you can collect the payments and transfer to another vendors. Like imagine like if you are running a restaurant today, you have the customer where they can come, scan, make the payment, but you are the customer of the another vendor. So tomorrow morning you have to go to the next vendor to buy things or buy the raw materials, right? So the way we build our infra is a neo-banking solution where you can collect and the transfer money. You can have an end-to-end solution, end-to-end transaction in the Android smartphone itself. Okay, so that is the beauty. People may think, like Mohan, what are you going to do? How you are going to compete with Bharat Pay, Phone Pay, or Paytm business, right? This is our USP, because we strongly believe that every retail businesses is not only connect, they are going to transfer the payments. They need a GST base, they need a digital ledger. Our main focus is offline retail, start from tier 2, tier 3 rural areas, right? In the rural areas, how the retail or the small kirana store works. Ledger is very important. Right now, the people are 99% are using paper and pen. Some people start using Khata book and OK Credit. So we included in this feature, we included point of sale in feature in the platform. So instead of using 4-5 applications, so you can use IppoPay to have your end-to-end digital transaction in your hand.
Thank you, Mohan. Mohan, I have one question for you. I know you are the first generation. Okay, how difficult was it for us to start this, and did you have lots of legacy money with you?
To be very honest, for me it's very emotional, okay? Because first 3 years, my mother does not even know that I'm into business. I started my own company because according to my mother, business nale vandu or failure da avangala pothu, because my father has tried so many businesses and got failed every businesses. So adanal veetla kuda poi sollave mudiyala na business la iruken. Mama, like you have to be very proud that your son is into start own entrepreneur. Enala adu sollave mudiyala because of the failure which my mother suffered from the day one. So it's very difficult. Over 3 years kapra, once I have some kind of stories to share my family, like I informed my mother, appa kuda avanga eethukave illa. My son, you have to consider, go to abroad, all your friends went to US making money, so we are still struggling. But as long as like they saw my success stories, they are very happy. So எங்கள் அம்மா ஒரு நாள் சொன்னாங்க, நான் சின்ன வயசாக இருக்கும்போது என் மையம் மட்டும் பிஸ்னஸ் பண்ணவே கூடாது, நான் அவ்வளோ சஃபர் ஆகிருக்கேன்னு சொல்லிட்டு. But my daughter now, she is proudly telling everybody, she is 6+, second standard படிக்கிறாங்க. And even today, she was referring my keynote speaking. He was reading, she was learning. She's so proud that my father is an entrepreneur. He helping the society, helping the tier 2, tier 3 people. So that's how he...
So that's a heartwarming story for all of us. I think it's amazing that we can convert what would otherwise be seen as failure to get converted into something which is a big success. And that really helps us change our minds. And that's what businesses do. I think the businessmen in this country are seldom ever given enough importance to understand how they are willing to change the psychology of individuals within the family and also people who work with them. And that's the beauty of where businesses are. So wonderful. Sunil, I've interacted with you quite often at various things, but the one thing I didn't really interact with you on was the whole thing around family business. I don't think we've ever had a talk. And just to tell you that I'm not pre-prepared at the speeches here, so these people are telling whatever they are telling impromptu. So other than for the fact that we know what structure we are in, it's not fully unprepared. But so Sunil, what is the secret success of your business? Of a family, I take it that you look and recognize or think of yourself as a family business. Firstly, that question.
See, I think there has always been advantages and disadvantages of having a family-run business. But to me, I see this as a more of a positive side of the having a family-run business. Because traditionally, I have been seeing now for last 20 years, a lot of brands I have come across from the Europe, specifically from Europe and Australia. The brands are 250 years old brand, which is run by family owned. I think that speaks volume about the way of doing business in family-run organization. I think the challenge for the family-run organization is basically only to have the clarity of the role, which is very important. Who assumes what role is very important in any family business. And a lot of advantages like the speed. I think the speed is the biggest advantage in a family-run organization because the execution becomes much faster than any other corporate level kind of execution. So my take is basically that the family, and even in India, if you see today, the maximum trade business is run today only from the family-run businesses, including our own South brands like GRT. They are showing us like how to take the business to the next level, even being a family-run organization. I think that's been a huge lesson. And this part of the country has always been, in every panel, been mentioned that in Chennai specifically, most of the retail brands are family-run organizations.
Thank you. Suhail, you represent a business that was created in your generation, right? What do you think are the secrets that one needs to follow for success in family businesses? And what do you think are the worries that one should be away from or one should avoid? I know I'm asking two questions at the same time to you.
I think in terms of what are the strengths and secrets of a family-run business, I think I'll repeat what Sunil said, that your family is the strength, right? Somebody you trust completely, your brother, your sister, your mother, your son, people who are linked to you by blood. It's a huge advantage in the initial days, right? Because a lot of us don't have the necessary processes and systems for measurement, for tracking in the initial days. So, that whole family member is there, she'll take care of it. Is a very, very important part of a family business. You're very lucky if you're running a business with your family today, right? If you have a sibling or a parent you're running a business with, you're very lucky because there's no bigger form of trust than one of family. But the other side of the coin here is that as we all grow older, I'm seeing with myself, as I'm growing older, I am becoming my father, right? I'm growing older, and then now my brother's son, my nephew is in the business, and I have to bite my lip many a time when I say, no, you don't know. You've got to stop yourself, and you've got to remember that when we started the business, Hanif and me, we were brave, but we were also reckless, right? And how do you sustain that level of energy in the business? One. Two, the stakes are higher. So how do you let younger family members come into the business, own a part of the business, make them proud, make them owners, and still not affect the business? I think that's a fine balance. And I think that's the balance all of us are looking for in family businesses. Because I don't think any of us are looking at completely professionalizing the business. But I think we want to learn how to run with professionals, how to work with professionals, but still maintain the core and the strength of a family business, right? The strength of a family business is the strength of family, right? And the family is a core unit of the country itself, right? Of society. So that's a bit of a tightrope walk. I think half the battle is won if we are aware that there is a problem. because then you can seek a solution.
Well said, Suhail. Half the problem is solved if you can recognize the problem. I think that's a nice input. I will go on to Rajesh, because I think the idea around new business. Rajesh, yours is a new business. Was it a family business at all?
So I'll give you my journey in life. When I was very young, we were part of, not my dad directly, but our uncles were part of a large family conglomerate that was top 2 in its country in its category, right? First generation started. By mid-90s, the second generation fought legal cases. Today, the business doesn't exist, right? So the business is dead. Now, my father and his brother ran a petrochemicals business. I got out of college, studied technology. I refused to be part of it. I said, look, my heart lies in technology. I'm not having none of this petrochemical stuff. I joined Wipro for about 2 years, and then this opportunity happened. I therefore had this fear of family in business, because I saw, against the philosophy of running great business where you say, right people in the bus on the right seats. In the family environment, I saw it so differently, because you had nepotism, you had favoritism, you had power centers, you had mediocrity, you had all kind of issues in the family environment. And then I had philosophy took a call saying, not a single family member in the business. Now today, 26 years hence, 1,000 people strong, not a single family member exists. And we are preparing a foundation for the business to last 100 years without the family involved at all. That's the journey that we are adopting, right? So, if you look at the foundation, the vision, the direction, the structure, it has no provision or space for family operationally per se at all. And now we're looking at how we can create an environment where you create wealth for the current ecosystem of team members, and how can you scale and let the legacy live beyond you. That's a journey.
Such an inspiring journey. How many of you are the second generation sitting in your family businesses? Raise your hands. Yeah. So I think there is an inspiration. I will not ever suggest that you should go out of the business that you are in. But if you think that you can do differently, and if you believe that there is a new space that we need to adopt, then you have to come out with that thought process. But the first time when you wanted to do this, did you face a lot of headwinds from the family?
Not really, because we are a family business. Intrinsic security was there, risk-taking ability was there. So there was a resistance to starting business. But the biggest resistance came when we were setting up the first store for Apple in India. It was a retail store in Forum, Bangalore, which is retail. IT was unheard of. On MG Road, Bangalore, the rate per square foot was 9 rupees a square foot. Forum Mall was 90 bucks a square foot, right? So I told Dad, I'm going to start this. He took me for a walk and he says, Marwayega humko. You'll sink the family, you'll sink us all. Are you sure? I said, look, I'm not sure, but I won't take a shot, right? And today, we are about 1,000 crores in terms of business size and scale. And to me, that single investment laid the foundation for who we are today.
It's amazing. Actually, I'm sure at some point if you go and talk to people at Forum and then ask them how many of the people that you initially got were the first timers, there could be a whole big history that can be written. Would you think that? So, and it's amazing. So Rajesh is giving you new perspectives. It's about you can do something differently. You still got to convince your family. You still got to sit together and talk about it. Marwayega tumko is one way, but the other part of the story is aapko fir karne diya na. So, pannade solla mudiyum. Ana pannaka adik support panna poren solradhu romba important. So I think that's the beauty of the family that is there. So I'm just leaving it open to the crowd here. You can pick up whatever you can from that. But I think it's a wonderful story to do something new in a new place with a new brand in a new place altogether, and a mall that was the first big mall in Bangalore, and to take it to where it is, and to have the guts to say, listen, I'm never going to be a family-run business. Very different thought process, won't be applicable to everybody, but that's a thought process. Thank you, Rajesh, for that. I'll now come to Gautam. Gautam, I do know, and I know your brand, and I know that you are very successful. You've also been able to take your thing public. Beautiful things have happened to you. Are you traditionally a family of businesses? Are you in the family business at all?
Thank you, sir. So, sir, I'm a third generation entrepreneur. My family has been into multiple businesses. My grandfather, when he came to Chennai long back in 1958, he started multiple businesses. My dad, my uncle also started a garment export business. So I've seen family business in our family blood for a very long time. I've also seen a time when my grandfather had a family business split with his brothers. We've seen that stage in life. My father and my uncle have seen. So all those things what we have learned from those episodes, we have ensured that we have not repeated in our current chemistry. We have 4 of us, me, my father, my uncle and my cousin. 4 of us run 4 different businesses. The clarity and trust and what we work with each other is commendable. So I'll tell you a story. In 2015 or 2014, we were planning to open a new store, a first store. And we had opened stores in malls, we had never opened in high streets. So Linking Road, Mumbai, you must be knowing one of the most expensive real estates in the country. I've never opened any store on a high street ever. I visited Bombay, I went to Linking Road, I saw a store, I really liked it, and the rental, at that point of time, it was exorbitant. I went to my father, I told him I want to do this. The immediate first response they got, please do it. And the response I got from my uncle and my cousin who were not involved in the business, but they said, please do it. The courage and trust they gave, it just kind of empowered me to take that step. For me, opening that store of 3.5 lakhs rupees a month at that point of time was a crazy amount. But the trust and support mechanism I had, I went ahead. And today when I look in hindsight, today we have 500 plus stores. So that initial boost really just changes everything.
So just to give people here a perspective, those of you who've never seen Linking Road in Mumbai, okay, I do have to tell you that I also tried opening up a store of Crossword in Linking Road. At the last minute, that guy did not come down by about 20-30 rupees, and I said, forget it. Then I opened up in Hill Road. It's one crazy place. So I want to give a perspective to you guys. When you opened up the Linking Road, you said 3.5 lakhs, and there are a few people who got a little bit of a heartbeat pumping, right? You meant to tell them the size of the store.
Like Kumar sir just mentioned, the size of the store was 350 square feet. So 1,000 rupees a square feet.
So how many of you have got a store which is 1,000 rupees a square feet rental? Yeah? Okay, so that's the first question. Second question, what is the per square feet sale? Only one store, so you can tell us this business, okay? What is the per square feet sale that you achieve in that place?
It's more than 20,000 rupees a square feet a year.
Yeah, if you are selling garments, how many of you can say you've got 20,000 rupees per square feet sales? You're talking about per month.
No, for the year, annualized.
Okay, for the year, I got scared a bit.
Annualized, sir.
Annualized. So that's the kind of business that's possible. Long before, when we were studying retail in some form or the other from the global guys, because India did not have enough to talk about when I was part of Shopper Stop, there wasn't enough colleges one you could learn from. So we used to go to various parts of the world and learn. One thing that a professor called Tiger taught me was that it always overpays to pay more to the best location than to pay less to a not so nice location. And this, I think, gets proven at these stages. So sometimes that's the way to think about. Thank you for telling us about the family and about the support that the family comes in when you have to take tough decisions. I think the families that win, even Rajesh very clearly said he's willing to do it, but there are people willing to support him. That makes a big difference to an individual to really go ahead and do what you want to do. Sometimes the family does not know what you're doing, and then you land up into a situation like him, which is even tougher, right? But I think it's about, there cannot be so many Mohans in this world, but there are times when you have to be like Mohan in this world. I'm sure there are situations that each one of you faced where the family does not want to do it, but you've done it, and you come out of it either successful or sometimes not so successful. We will come to that. Bala, everybody knows your business. Everybody knows that you are part of the business. Tell us about Saravana Stores. Tell us about what role you play. Tell us about what really works, what doesn't work.
The story of Saravana Stores started even before, let's say, the 50 years that we have been celebrating the last year. Now, before that, the young boy from Tuticorin, he moves out along with elders of his village. There are 2 options for him as a job. One, to go as a laborer in Sri Lanka, and another option as a laborer in Burma. So he chooses Sri Lanka, which is the closest option. So he goes there and he starts working in a mandi, and whatever item that gets sold out on a single day, because it's a weekly mandi, he goes to the owner of that particular seller and he picks it up and he put up a small shack and he started displaying that item. and he made a note of the person who went empty-handed because that item got sold out. Thus, that is a process, that is a DNA that still runs at Saravana Stores even today. After the first generation, found it difficult to do the business in Sri Lanka because of the licensing Raj of the British era. He moves back into the country, and his next generation, 4 children, and they are, out of them, 3 of them are picking up retail, and they are scouting for options in Bombay. When they go to Bombay and they see their own family members or relatives doing very well, and they're asking them question as to, आप लोग इतने बड़े हैं, इवलो पेरी आर्टिकल ये देखिए एंगे कुड़ा पोटी के वरिंगे. So they move out of Bombay, then they come back to Chennai. Again, all the high streets of Chennai are already occupied, so they pick up a spot which is between railway station and a bus stand, and the birth of Saravana Stores begins there. And from that point of time till today, the categories are totally around 33 categories. Each category is added purely by customer demand. A customer comes in and asking for an item continuously, and we don't have it, then a category is created, and that's how the evolution happens at Saravana Stores. It's purely what customer is asking, bring that item and make it available at the best price and the right quality. And the team does it, and the team is as good as a family member. That's how the teams are molded. And from the second generation to the third generation, each family member also decides to have the same name with a little differentiation. And I represent Super Saravana Stores, which happens to have the first store in Ranganathan Street. And it is being taken care by Rajaratnam Anachi. And his son, Mr. Sababadi sir, is the managing director to whom I report. And in this 40 years till 2010, there was only one showroom. But other brothers opening other showrooms sparkled the interest to open a second showroom in Purusevakam. A saturated market at that point of time, but it gave us lots of learning. And from that learning, every 3 or 4th year, the growth story of another showroom is added with Krompet and Porur. And shortly we'll be opening one in Madurai. And the next generation is being onboarded with a mentor team and a set of people whom they get to choose to handpick, and they travel along the journey, and they get to learn the process, and they choose to slowly get into the process of managing the businesses.
So Bala, the question that comes to me, okay, you are part of the leadership team of Saravana. I've known you at Saravana for a long time, but I've also known you in your earlier avatar, lifestyle, and various places, right? How do you look at yourself inside, otherwise a family-run business? It's called a family-run business. So what's your role there? How does it work?
Predominantly, family-run businesses, they need a set of people, professionals to handle certain processes. Like how a customer is asking for a product category, it is onboarded. The systems, the processes gets added. You want to have a tech adoption, definitely you need a trusted hand to do it. Somebody who's got an exposure who will ensure that that is executed. It is not only about achieving a turnover, it is about executing that particular thing with the deliverables on time. Of course, it has to be done in a way in which you're handholding the existing team and also build in a team which is new, who will also adapt to the environment and support the family managed business. Family managed business, predominantly all the key decisions are with the ownership team. And there are certain routine process which we gently move out of the ownership team because it saves time. And routine process which does not need the attention on the value of that particular time is being gently weaned away. That's how it is done.
So I think that it's important to know that how did you get a chance to come in and speak here? I know it's a silly question, right? But he's representing a brand. He's a professional. How did you get a chance to talk at all?
In fact, 8 or 9 years back when I used to be actively involved with Suhail sir and Sunil sir and the entire team along with you, there have been instances where I used to go and request the management to come to the stage. And I also remember a day when you had come in to invite them. pretty shy in terms of media shy, in terms of coming on the forefront. But when we expressed this, he said, okay, it's time now to go ahead. We will do the support because they have come from across the country and they are supporting lots of activities. Please do our part on behalf of the management is what they said. Because they recognize the hard work that has been put during COVID times, representing all the retailers and the work that has been done to open for 24 hours. These are areas which are giving new opportunities for retailers like us. So thank you very much, RAI, for that, and the entire team for that.
No, it's quite interesting, I think. Thanks for telling people from RAI this is one more of those boosts that we need to be able to do good work. So thank you for that. I think it's also a lesson. How many sitting in this room know who are the owners of Shopper Stop? About 10% of you, right? Shopper Stop, how many of you know about Shopper Stop? The fact is, I used to be part of almost the original startup team of Shopper Stop. In those days, there was no such concept called startup. Shopper Stop started in late 91. I was there from 93 onwards. We were a small store. When I joined, it was a 2,000 and odd square feet store. And you know where it is currently. Fact is that Rajas owned Shopper Stop, right? Till Shopper Stop went public in 2006, the biggest chunk of, and there were also not times when the private equity capital was very big. So almost 85% of the business was held by the Rajas at that time. But most of you do not know of them because of the fact that they were never at the forefront. It's also because there were guys like us who would willing to stand ahead and stand and go and talk. Nagesh, all of you would know B.S. Nagesh. He was the chairman of, and the man who created RAI, man who created Shopper Stop, the man who supported for many people. Nagesh owned Shopper Stop. And even now, I think the Rajas believe that he is the man who owns Shopper Stop in many ways, although they are the businesses. Everybody knows Rajas in Mumbai. Fact is that most people who in real estate and who want a real estate to be bought would definitely look at a Rajas real estate property. Because everybody knew of Rajas. They didn't know Rajas owned Shopper Stop for a long time, even in Bombay. Because of a simple reason. They allowed us to do our mistakes. They allowed us to do a lot of things and to front face for the business. But whenever we got into a trouble, whenever we landed into a situation where we needed help, the Rajas were always there. They were always willing to support us. And I can tell you that in my span with the Shopper Stop group for 13 years, I must have done at least about 30 odd very large mistakes, 30. Smaller mistakes to karte hi hain, hamara hak tha, right? Or what, naanga vela pandren na pannadhan pore mistake, adu paaktukve kudadu. But the fact is that they looked at our mistakes, they learned from it, they many times gave us interventions. They'll tell us, I think maybe you should try this out, but never told us you try this out. That is the big difference in the way they spoke to us. And I'm telling this because here is one more example. Example of how you can treat people who could become like part of family. They're never part of family. I mean, I would say that some of us made our monies when Shopper Stop went public. I have got a big way to thank the Rajas for whatever it is that I am today. And of course, Nagesh. But the fact of the case is that many individuals can get created because of the way in which family businesses can handle non-family members. So that's the other aspect that one may need to think about, even if you're running a family business, if you're part of the family business. That's the other aspect altogether. The professionalizing family businesses, therefore, is the next question that I'd want to bring up. Gautam, because you've gone public, because you now many a times have to stand in front of investors and talk to them confidently, give them that trust month on month, at least once in a quarter, but many a times they're looking at the small words that you say even on month, right? What brings in professionalism? What, in your opinion, is professionalism in a family-owned business?
So, sir, exactly what you just mentioned. We, as a business, are trying to build professionals who are running. So, I'll tell you about in what we do in Go Colors. We have about 8 to 9 very important verticals in the business: logistics, supply chain, business development, own stores, finance. What we have done as management is have a very senior person for each vertical and give them the platform to make mistakes and grow. And like you just mentioned a little earlier, that don't touch something which is doing very well. we are at a macro level having the trust on our professionals, running the business, and then enjoying the growth of the business. I think one of the biggest factors in a family business is to take a step back and understand that if there is a professional who can do a job better than you, it's better for the professional to run rather than you doing it yourself. So at Go Colors, what we have done is not a one-man show. It's not a father-son combination. It is the team of Go Colors which is actually deserving the credit for growth of Go Colors. It's not me individually or my father individually.
So the ability to see the business separately from yourself, I guess, is a very important part.
Absolutely, sir.
Right? Because the business is not you. You are not the business. And of course, all these private equities coming in has created a new view to this. I remember about 10 years before when we did CRS, most of the retailers that I'd speak to one-on-one would say, "Yaarpa nammaloda business lever yariyadu konduruva." That is going to be a big problem. It will create new people to whom I'm responsible to. The same 10 years before, there's a gentleman called Rafiq Malik, who now you may see one of the most successful publicly held companies called Metro Brands, right? Metro Shoes. Rafiq Malik told me, I asked him, "Sir, you are a private company. Why do you have this set of eminent set of people who are your advisors? Why do you have a board, firstly?" He told me something which I think is still reverberating, because it's almost at the same time I'd gone out of CRS and gone there to meet him. And he told me, "Kumar, the most important part and the problem for a businessman is that he's got lots of yes and yes sayers along with him. There are seldom ever naysayers with him. Seldom ever people who will ask him questions. So he doesn't feel responsible to anybody. Because even with customers, you sometimes say, "Venuna vaangilna aalavidupa." So that's the way you think, right? So you said the most important part is how do you bring in a set of people around you to whom you feel responsible and to whom you have to meet the presentation. So he was the chairman of the board, but he said many a times, people who are in my board would be able to tell me no on my face because they had nothing else to do. I mean, they did not have an axe to grind. They did not own any part of my business. They were independent directors, but they were good friends who had the guts to say, "Tum kya bol raha hai, sab galat hai," or "Whatever you're saying is wrong." And that keeps me going. This is the one lesson that he taught me at that time, 10 years before. So as we speak, I'm sure I can bring in some gems like this. Sunil, you're wanting to go there, so I want you to talk whatever you want to say. But there's also another thing that I want you to talk about. How do you create a secret of success within a family-run business?
See, every business has some secrets, end of the day. It's very simple. And to get the right formula of doing the business, see, initially I always believe in creating the proper business model. Because what happens is, a lot of time I have seen in last 25 years, people create a business model which is not sustainable and they start growing very rapidly. That is where the problem starts. Because without creating the business model which is sustainable, and then you start thinking of expanding, getting funding, and then doing a lot of blah, blah things, and then when we see after 15, 20 years, the brand collapses. So I think the simplest thing to keep everything business is to keep your business model intact, sustainable. Then I think, then entire thing can be done. And on the other, this part of this professionalism, I think see today, 30 years back, I still go back and see that any of the business run organization never thought of expansions. Today you speak to at least 100 people, I think 90 of them will, business run organizations says that they want to expand. I think to expand, you need people. And to need people, you need to create a proper structure to bring in those people, and then you call it professional. But end of the day, it is people only. So I believe if you don't create the proper structure, then bringing in the professional team and then working, then it becomes a challenge. I think that for every business organizations, create a proper structure, then bringing the professional team and then ask them to work, I think it will work wonderful. And one more observation which I wanted to share is, in a business and organization, I think the most biggest challenge comes in only when you create too many white elephants at the top. Because what happens is when the transition happens and the next generation comes and joins the business, then you are getting too many heads into the organization. The head of the organization has to be very, very cautious, see that then he doesn't create too many white elephants at the top, so that the brand does not get straight.
Actually, why should you get even one white elephant? Right? so, so तीन मटन तीनों वेरों गुड़का तना करना ही चलेगा ना. So that's a worry. I think that white elephant is a very good point. It is sometimes people have overreached and landed themselves into a situation wherein they can't afford the person who's come with them. And there is maybe sometimes the person whom they've got with them doesn't know what he should or he should not do, or what he is supposed to create as value. Because many of these people sometimes are capable of very huge change and very huge amount of business, but the owners get scared and they sometimes keep themselves away from it. That's the other side also that could happen. And then they become a white elephant. So it's possible. I'd agree. Technology. And because, Mohan, you speak to a lot of people, and what part of your business is from rural, relatively second and third tier markets?
So thank you so much for the question to bring it to, because it's very important. So we are on the market, especially in the offline businesses. We are live from January 2022 till now, right? Last 7 months, we are successfully onboarded 150,000 merchants, which is stores in Tamil Nadu alone. Okay, you won't believe, sir, 80% of the stores start from tier 2, tier 3, and rural areas. Okay, so we covered more than 80% of the postal code. Okay, so because when I started this business, since I'm from Rameswaram, I'm from rural area, being a fisherman family, even in my own village, we have 5 putti kadai, kirana maliye kadaigal. So when I was, all my cousins, uncles, right? So when I discussed with them, they said, Mohan, minimum like 2-3 people asking Google Pay, UPI every day. Then I was completely shocked, I didn't expect. Then we changed our strategy. All our competitors are focusing urbans. We start from tier 2. The way they are welcoming us is unbelievable. They said, this is what we are waiting for. So even my mother, 60 plus, right? She used smartphone. She used to call me via WhatsApp. Sometimes say, Mohan, call me. Then I realized, the elder people are ready to adopt ready to learn the technology, right? So that is why, we bring this Android application to retail businesses. Even though education is little tough, but they are very keen to learn. 40% of our merchants are using digital ledger, which is unbelievable. They said paper and pen we have to carry everywhere. Now, Android phone is always in my pocket, right? So they know, they are all monitoring. So, okay, so I heard the story from one of my merchant saying that our வீட்டுக்கு போயிருக்காரு, ஒரு relative வீட்டுக்கு போயிருக்காரு. Okay, so very rural area. So அவங்க அந்த வீட்டுக்காரங்க சொன்னாங்களாம், brother, I have to give you 200 rupees உங்கள்கிட்ட கடன் வாங்கியிருக்கேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அவர் டக்குன்னு பேப்பர் எடுத்து ஃபோன் எடுத்து செக் பண்ணிவிட்டு not 200 rupees, 250 rupees அப்படின்னு சொன்னாராம். So our main definitely in IppoPay, the name is coined by Ippo means now, right? So our main focus is definitely start from tier 2, tier 3. My aim is to, in after 5 years, every rural area vendor should have IppoPay. That's my focus.
I think the lesson here is simple. Whether you get tech adoption done or no, the customers are already adopting tech at some fast pace. And it has nothing to do with age. So the question is, are we on the same path or no? The second lesson to me, and I am a big believer in this, for the longest time we were worried about MDR, right? So how many of you accept credit cards in this place, right? MDR was always a worry. And I was one of the initial set of advisory members with NPCI. They had 13 bankers and me alone. And the bankers were very keen on making sure there was enough MDR happening. I was the idiot who used to stand there and say, sir, why should there be so big an MDR? It's a debit card, so we should not be having this big MDR. But UPI changed the equation completely. So as a retailer, there's a huge possibility to just create this huge bill. Like we used to say, credit card accepted or MasterCard accepted, Visa accepted. If you create UPI accepted as a principle there, my belief is part of your costs of running the business will come down quite fast. Not enough retailers are doing it, And I think you should take up a thing from here. And I'm telling you as a business person, if I was to think, I'll say I'll put up a big board telling UPI accepted and also maybe RuPay. Because if you can really accept RuPay much more, the possibility is that your rates, your MDR rates will come down. With RuPay, it's easier to talk. With Visa and Master, I completely agree with what they are doing, but I think it's not so easy to really bring down the rates. Third part is you are changing cash from cash to UPI. The amount of time you spent on counting cash, the amount of issues that you have around cash should easily get converted with UPI. No issues at all. Bob is your uncle, you're making so much money. So try and make sure that you are able to do it differently. I've got one question to ask. So Bala, I'm going to take your thing. There is one gentleman here who I've requested that he should talk to us about family businesses. Tell us two things that he thinks is success for family businesses. So I'm going to ask Radhakrishnan that. Sir, I'm going to come to you to ask that. All of you. Acha, anybody here who does not know GRT, raise your hand, please. If you want to exercise, how many of you know GRT? Oh, that's a good exercise. Raise your hands. Thank you so much. So, sir, how would you describe GRT as a brand? And would you consider yourself a family brand? If it is a family brand, or if it's a family-owned business, what do you think is the success that one should always look at?
Happy morning to all of you. Perumal Aswan, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the phenomenal team there, sir. A lot of learning from all of you. And thanks to Rai and all of you, sir. Great efforts by all of you. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. GRT was started by my father in 1964. It's a strong family of 9,000 people. We have a strong family of 9,000 people and growing. We would ideally like to say that GRT is actually three large verticals. One, we have the jewelry itself. It's a family and professionally together owned, like a lot of gentlemen there said. And second vertical, we have our hotels, which is family owned, 100% professionally run, reporting to the board. So we don't have anything on a day-to-day of running of the hotel. Our involvement in the hotel, except for finance and strategy edition, is zero. So when I say zero, it's zero. So we don't have any involvement in the hotel business. It's very professionally run. And we have a vertical in green energy, again solar, which is also very professionally run, which reports to the board. As far as the jewelry division is concerned, again, it's we are attracting a lot of professionals. Thanks to our CEO, Mr. Vijay Raghavan, is able to attract a lot of talents. And we as a family think if the professionals are given enough space for them to work and we trust them, like all of them said there, if we trust them enough and we interfere at the right place wherever we think and we give them the space for the business to grow, I think God's grace, that's what we are doing. We're also in the growing and learning process. Yes, we do make a lot of mistakes as a family members. Yes, professionals also do a lot of mistakes, but the beauty which is happening in GRT is both of us work together. So there is no, I think at least to a large extent, as a part of the family, we can say there's no ego in the family saying that professional is wrong or right. And the beauty of the professional who are working with us, they are honest enough to say, when a family member says, sir, please don't do this, it's not for the larger good of the family. I think that's where we are going.
Wow, that's like lesson 101 in 2 minutes time. Why is it wow? To me, my understanding is like this. 1 second, I'll give this back to you. To me, the understanding is like this. You've got a Raja right in the middle of all of us, right? Similar thought process. Rajas ran the real estate company, but when it came to retail, they said you guys could run it because you know it better than we do. And they allowed us to do whatever we wanted to do there. But even within the real estate company, they've got professionals who run that business, professionals who know what's happening. But like what he says, I think it's about the ability to listen, to know from your people down below. The first thing. I think that's what he told in a very nice manner. The ability for a person who is working with you, who supposedly reports to you, to be able to stand up and say, sir, no. So I think do not get yourself surrounded with people who are yes people. You surround yourself with people who can also say no to you. Any person, any business, any professional, any family, I think that is the first thing to do. Do not surround yourself with yes sayers around you. The second thing he did talk about was common objectives and systems. And I think that's important. The common objectives are the ones that drives all of us to do whatever we are doing and to do things differently. And the third thing is that you may not necessarily be in the business that you are doing to be the only business that you know. You could also take up businesses that you do not necessarily know well and have the guts to say, I'll bring in a professional and run that business. Otherwise, the hotels division and the energy business will not go where it is going. So I think it's beautiful to also think diversification, even within the family business. In some ways, I think Rajesh's story is also in some form a diversification, right? So I think that's important. And with that, I'll stop here because I'm already overrun. I will get people to ask. Do I have time to ask 2 or 3 questions? Yes. So people who want to ask questions will need to take out. You can raise your hand. The first 3 questions will get answered. After that, I don't think we've got enough time. So please be specific to the person to whom you are asking the question. That would be really useful to us.
Yeah, very good morning to all the panelists. My question is to Mr. Bala of Saravana Stores. I just wanted to understand your growth strategy in terms of expanding stores. Why has it been slow, and why haven't you expanded out of Chennai so far?
Good morning. As a group of Saravana Stores with other brothers, they have expanded. The stores are also outside of Chennai. But as Super Saravana Stores, we have been following step of Nidanama Ponga. No, there is no hurry for us to go and take a market. Where we are, in the existing stores itself, we find a huge opportunity of growth. When we spend more time, when we energize our people, we have opportunities of growth in the existing store itself. And only when we achieve that particular parameter, then we step into the next growth. Till around 40 years, there was only one store. In 2010, we opened Persevakam. And from there on, there was a learning with which we decided we will only go into virgin markets. We will not go into a market which is already crowded or where there is already an existing market and already people operating. Rather, let's go and create a destination, and from there, build that particular market is what the strategy is. And in that model, what happens is you don't disturb an existing set of businesses. And you create a new market, and thereby an environment is created. So that every 4 years once we have been growing, and COVID, so there was a little delay. But yes, this year we have another showroom up and coming in Madurai. We do have plans, but entire plan is only for southern part of the country. We understand southern India, let's say Sri Lanka is also southern India. Malaysia also we treat as southern India, and Gulf also is southern India for us. And up to Maharashtra is southern India for us, because culture, climate, and people predominantly remain the same. So we see the geography of South India as this. We are actually building the base for expansion. So once, as everyone rightly said, it is the people who will make the difference. So internally, people who are traveling with us for more than 25 years, 30 years, who have the capability, we are trying to upgrade them, upskill them. Same time, we are bringing on board lots of professionals who are willing to adapt to this environment, understand inherent strengths, and build with this strengths with their professionalism. So the base is getting built, and that's how there is no need for hurriedly expanding into a market. So we are growing one step at a time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Good morning to all the panelists. My name is Saurabh, and my question is to Gautam actually. Gautam, I found your story very inspiring, and I just have one question. I mean, you were talking about brick and mortar stores, right? So do you have any challenges right now running your online store as well? And if there are any challenges, can you name few of them to run your e-commerce business?
Yeah, thanks, Saurabh. So Saurabh, see, e-commerce business is a very different business to brick and mortar, and we have institutionally always looked at brick and mortar as a primary business. But post-COVID, we've got an understanding that, like even Kumar sir said, that omni-channel is going to be the next big thing. So at Go Colors, we first had the biggest challenge was to make an efficient website. Because today, if you're making a site, it has to be Google friendly, it has to be social media friendly from all integrations perspective. So it's just not you're making a website, you're making an experience from a customer's perspective, right from performance marketing to your end store, your brick and mortar store. So we found a lot of challenges getting our website up and ready, but now since we have done it, we are doing the next phase of omni-channel, which hopefully should go live in the next 5-6 months.
So thank you. I think we'll stop at this level. I just want to kind of give 2 or 3 things that I learned and maybe something that I can contribute to the whole panel here. First thing is, I think Mr. Radhakrishnan talked about ego, and that's a very important part that sometimes gets washed, right? But ego is a very important aspect to think. I have found that in all businesses, wherever I met family businesses, and I have the opportunity to meet a lot of them through the year because of the wonderful place that I've been given as an opportunity. The only thing that really squashes good family businesses is egos. Business and ego has no sense. You can't bring in ego into business. So think about it very deeply. The second part is about what is professionalism. I think it's more to do with understanding objectives, understanding roles, responsibilities, and allowing people to function. That is professionalism. If you don't allow people to function and you want him to run a race course, fact is that you've not exercised the winning horse. How do you expect him to really win? So even if it is a race horse that you bought, it becomes a white elephant, like what we were talked about, right? So Sunil talked about a white elephant. So that's the second part. The third part is something that I talked about from Sri Rafiq Malik, is the idea that you need to have people who would be with you in your business, who can also tell you yes and no to you, in whichever way you want to structure it. Some of the good businesses that I have seen have been family-run businesses, but with professional directors from outside. That is the first place where you should bring in professionals, because those are the people who will tell you on your face what you're doing is not right. The fourth thing, and this is my own experience with multiple, in my experience initially as a chartered accountant when I was 21 years of age, and subsequently with Shopper Stop when I met a lot of my suppliers, and now with RAI where I'm meeting a whole lot of retailers. There is one thing that I've always talked about, and this is my gyan in this. I also have to contribute, right? I've also become old. So the one gyan that I've seen is that memories. We all seem to think that we should have the memory of an elephant. It's sometimes a worrying thing, because an elephant remembers lots of things, but it also remembers the wrong thing that's happened to it by the same mahout. And I'm told that many a times the mahouts die because of the same elephant. We might as well have the memory of a dog. A dog is supposed to be loyal not just because it's loyal, because it can remember all the good things that's happened to it. Even if the child in the family is tied a small patas cholvonla, number Lakshmi patas vechiruvom pinnadi, the dog would have jumped because you put in a firecracker on its tail, but it will still remember that it's part of the family. Never bite a family member ever. Right? You've ever found a dog that's bitten the same family in which it is there? So why should we as human beings not have that good memory of various good things that happened to us in the family, and therefore be willing to overlook the things that's happened wrong for us within the same family? If it's a family, something wrong will happen. So think that differently, and I think that will be the essence of success. With that, ladies and gentlemen, lots of things to take from here. Thank you very much.